So now so what, yeah, as part of learning the Pega, what we are doing is we have created a new application. So now that we understood as Pega is how that easily that we can design the process, at least that we know high level idea that how we can design the process in Pega with the help of our stages and steps. With the stages, we have primary stages, we have alternate stages. So with the help of that, we can just design our process, and with that process we can say it in our case type. And then whatever the process, let's say we are working on loan process. So if you just click on that, so you can see that overall process, that how that our loan process will work, that where this stage will be done by one customer, then this will be done by some other user, and then this is automation shapes where no one will work on it automatically. The Pega will send an email. That's it. It's not for any user who has to work on this stage, because here we have selected automation shapes, sending an email. Okay. And then yesterday's session, we have discussed a bit of classes, whenever you create an application, so you'll see that this class group Pega will create it for you. And then this subclasses, these are called work types basically. So account opening and loan process. So these two classes will get added automatically when you add the case type. So now that we have two classes here, loan process class and account opening class, the reason behind that is we have two case types, account opening and a loan process. So like that. So now this is also done, and also we have shown you a bit of inheritance, what inheritance is. So you can just go to that, right click on any class, and if you click on the inheritance, so you can see that all the class. So now, for example, if any rule, and it could be any rule like properties, action, flow action, it depends how reusable that is. For example, let's say any property is only reusable for loan process and account opening, then you can create that class in a more higher layer, the parent of this class. But let's say there is but let's say there are many applications are there, 2-3 applications are there, like Bank of America will also have a leave application. Right, and Bank of America will have many other other applications, for example, let's say many other applications, let's say for transportation, employees who want to avail transportation. So for that also they want to have the process. So there can be many. So we cannot add that over here, because this is a loan application. We cannot add that case type here. So for all those things, for all those things, the organization will remain the same. So the properties related to, let's say, first name, last name again, so those are the properties we can again directly save as to this class also, like BOA at the higher top end class, like that. So it depends upon your your property or your rule, any rule basically, so whatever the rules that you have it, you can basically save as any one of these classes depending upon the reusability of that particular rule. Okay, like that. Okay, and then also we have seen that how we can design the UI, for example, let's say if I'll run this process. So now we can see that, we have seen that, how we can add this form, first where the user will enter first name, last name, date of birth, phone number, email address, loan type and all the stuff. So, for designing this, what we have done yesterday, first we have created properties, and the properties we have seen that, that comes under data model category. So here, if you expand data model category, so I'm sorry, here we haven't created any in the loan process. If you expand it, so here you can see that the properties and some properties we have created in the higher layer. And then this properties, we refer it in a section. So section, we see it and then under the user interface category. So in the user interface categories are here. So we have created yesterday two properties, two UIs. So for the two UIs, we have created two sections, loan details and the personal details. So now, and then this section, we have referred it in a flow action. So now if you, any rule, if you want to see that where these sections are referred, so, simply what you can do is you can go to that action drop down and you can see the view references. So the Pega will tell you, okay, this section has been referred in this flow action, or else you have this process tab. So flow action comes under a process tab. So here in the process tab, you can see that your case type rule also comes under a process category. So whenever you add a case type, the Pega will create a new rule called as a case type. Okay, and then a flow rule, like, these many flow rules the Pega has created. And then the flow action. So now these flow action also we have created. And then the flow action, we refer it in a flow. Yesterday we have created a flow. So here, so in this flow, we have that flow action. So, because we have two steps, so two flow actions you have to create it. And now this flow is referred in a case type. So now if I'll open a case type, so let's say here, so you can see that, like, this flow is here, like, this process is here. So now this is a stage, this is a process. So now if you click on the stage dot, and if you open the process, here you can see that a process, wherein which at every process will have the start shift, so that the Pega will know, okay, this process will start from here and then will end up here. So in one process, basically in Pega, you can have only one start shift, but you can have multiple end shift. I'll let you know the scenarios of the future, like, when can we have a multiple end shifts. Okay, so now, okay, so this is how we design it. Now let's say we have to design the same screen for manager as well. Let's say, for example, our requirement is that, okay, so now that in this, so now for example, now in this UI, I mean this loan type and loan amount, let's say we don't need it because we are displaying this property, both these properties in the next screen, right? So simply what you can do is you can open that section, and then let's say these two fields you don't want to, you don't need it basically. So what simply that you can do is you can just click here, and then you can just see this delete icon, right? Just click on that, it will get deleted. Same thing, like loan amount also is not needed. So just click on that, and then click on this delete icon, and then it will get removed, and then they'll save it. So now whenever whenever you create a new cases, so either we can create a new case from here, create new, and then we have two case types, right? But now the one, either we can create a cases from here, or else we can create case from directly if you run this, case type. And I can say that, like, so now the two properties are not here, so like that. So now let's say, like, and now let's follow the same process, as a part of a revision, like, let's say, like, we have to design the same thing for manager as well. Okay, so for the manager also, we have to design the same screen, wherein which now that manager, like, now let's say if I'll let's say now that it's new process, now let's say I'm applying for a loan, then I'll enter the details, I'll enter the first name, last name, I'll enter my date of birth, and then I'll enter my phone number, then I'll enter my email address, and then I'll continue it. Then I'll enter my loan details. Let's say I'm applying for home loan, then loan amount is, let's say, something, and then if I'll continue it, so now it got routed to the manager, okay, or banking, any banking officer and all that stuff. But here, based on what, like, he will verify it basically, like, you can see that here he's not able to see any information, right? I mean, who has applied for a loan, how much is the loan amount, and all this stuff. All right. So now let's design one screen for a manager also, so that once the manager logs in, I mean, he should be able to see all these details, whatever the details that that user has entered, I mean, the customer has entered. So now he should be able to see all those information here in the read-only format. I mean, because we cannot allow the bank person to, edit any details and all those stuff. Okay. So now simply the same thing, like, what we'll do is we'll just open it up, open this flow. Okay, so now this shape is not needed because this is out of the box Pega provided shape. So I don't want this approve reject shape. So if you don't need it, so what you can do is just do a right click and then delete this. That's it. So now just expand this. Okay, and then right click and add one assignment shape. Okay, one assignment shape for a manager. So just connect these two. Okay, so now I'm saying that my process is starting here and it will go to the assignment shape. Just double click on the assignment shape. I'll just change the label as approve reject. And then on this, and these connectors, these are lines, right? I mean, the arrows, basically, those are called connectors. So double click on this connector. So just Pega will ask you, okay, what is the flow action? So now we'll just say approve, reject flow action, approve, reject. And now if I click on the circle icon, so I just click on that. So you can see here, the Pega is trying to create it in this class, and then so create and open. Okay, now we know that in the flow action we have to refer a section. So section also we haven't yet created. If it had been created, so what you can just see that blue, all right. So now you just press the down arrow key. So so we can select any created section, but now we haven't yet created any section. So simply you can just click there and just list it here, and then this one. So this circle icon, basically if it's a already existing one, for example, let's say here. So now this section is already there, right? So now if I'll click on this circle icon, so Pega will open that particular section. Okay, like that. So but if it's a new one, let's say for example this section, right? I just change the name of the section which is not yet exist in the system. So now if I'll click on the circle icon, the Pega will try to create a new one. So it's a Pega is creating a section rule under this class, and if everything looks good, so just create and open. So again, the Pega will give you the screen like this. Okay, so now I've told you, like, whenever you say this, so just go to that convert to full text editor, click on that, and then you will get a screen like this. Okay, now that what we have to do, we have to just show all those details in the read-only format. So simply what we'll do is we will just have okay, text area. So drag it and then just name it as first name. Okay, then last name. Phone number. Email address. And okay, phone number, email address, date of birth. Okay, date of birth, I'll just add it later. Okay, then let's say loan amount. And then loan loan amount. That's it. So I'll just save the section. So, and then the section got saved or got created, and I'll save this full action as well. Then I'll save the flow. That's it. And now this flow is already referred in the case type. So no need to save and anything in the case type and all the stuff. So I'll just close everything. And then what I'll do is I'll just open it and I'll refresh the case type. Okay. So now what will happen now, let's say, okay. So now let's say for the loan process. So now let's say I'm entering some details here. Okay, phone number, email address, educational loan, let's say, and now that's 12. Okay, now you can see that now it's a manager screen. So now, like, we are in the approval stage. So now, like, so my requirement was like, that this should be displayed in the read-only format, right? And another requirement is, let's say we got another requirement that we have to show a radio button to the manager, which will, from where user can select approve or reject. Okay, and then also and also, like, one field, a rejection comments field also, that we have to display two things. One in the radio button, from where the user can select approve, reject, and comment, basically, rejection comments. Okay, so now simply what we can do is, so we'll just go to the section. So now we know that to a requirement. So now I'll just go to this section. So so wherever, like, you have to design anything related to UI, like, so you have to just go to the section. Okay, so now this is a section which we have designed. So now this is not a good screen, right? Because if, let's say, the editable format only if I'll show to the bank person. So he can either change my name, or he can change the loan amount to, he can increase it, or he can, change this to loan type to, instead of education loan, he can change it to personal loan. I mean, not intentionally, but by mistake also, he might get, there are chances it can happen. So now what we can do is we'll just go to the section. So by default, the Pega always show all the details in the editable format. So simply what you do is just go to the field, let's say first name, and then you click on this gear icon. So just click on that, and then now that you are in the general tab, right? So where you specify the property name, what property that you want to display. So just go to the second tab, which is a presentation tab. Okay, so now just go to the presentation tab, and then here the first option is edit options. So here select this, like, read only always. Okay, so now it's read only always. So now you can see that it is a read only. Simply same thing, you just do it for other properties too. So the last name, so go to the presentation tab, and then edit option is read only always. So on conditionally also we can do that. Like, let's say conditionally you want to make that field read only and all the stuff. So you can do that as well. Okay, so now, but this time I just want always that these fields should display in the read only format. So now I'll just go there, and this is the tab. And yesterday, Shweta, I guess you were asking, right? I mean, can we just present it in the presentations and all the stuff? This is a screen, this is a tab, basically, if you want to edit or anything. So this is what, you can just make any screen, this is one part basically from where you can just customize your UI. So here, so just read only. And then I'll just make this also read only. And read only. So now I have made all the fields as read only. So one requirement is done. So, and then another requirement of mine is like, so I have to show two fields in the radio buttons. One, approve, reject, of course, because after looking at this, the manager has to perform some action, right? I mean, how will you, I mean, after reviewing it, I mean, if the manager directly submits the screen, so how will we know that, whether this application where basically it's got rejected or some approved, right? So we should have some option, right? So we can just have, let's say, then, this is order. So every, whatever the properties that you create or, refer, that you created under a layout, basically, so you can just have another, so if you want, you can just add one more field over here, or else you can add one more layout. So just from the structural drop down, so you can just add. So now, for example, let's say you have to show tabular format, so let's say you have to show these kind of a tab layout, a tab screen. So, you can just have different types of layouts. So Pega has provided it. So it's something like, you don't have to code, everything the Pega has basically, provided it. So like, column on what type of, how that you want to show your screen basically. So then you just drag it off, and then here, okay. And then now here, I want to show radio button. So just go to the pickers and then just select that. So already we have seen drop down for the loan type, we have used this drop down, but now let's use radio buttons. Let's drag it over here. Okay, so now, and then here, just click on it, and then property name. So property, we haven't yet created it. So now let's create one property as approve, reject. So because it's not yet created. So if you click on the circle icon, so Pega will try to create a new property. So just create and open. And now we have to show options, right? I mean, the radio buttons, of course, we have to show options. So yesterday we have seen that if we have to add option. So one option is we go to the table type, and then just go here, the local list, and then just say approve and reject. So now that we have to show these two options, because let's save it. So the property is done, and now then you have option basically, like, to how that you want to show, whether horizontal or vertical, like, how this approve reject should be visible. So that you can do it. Go to the presentation tab. So by default, the Pega will show vertically, but now I want to show the option horizontal. So just click horizontal, and again go to the general tab, And then thus you can see that the label the Pega is giving as the same property name dot approve reject, but we don't want this kind of a label, right, for the user. So if you want to change this label, so simply what you can do is you can just uncheck this box. So you can by default Pega says okay, use properties default, but I don't want to use that. So if you uncheck this, so you can see that the Pega has made this field label value as editable. So you can just give any label, please select that. That's it. So now I'll just submit this. You can see that like now that it is showing in the horizontally. Okay, and now okay, and now okay, and now I'll just submit this. Okay, and now I have to show one more option as what comments basically, right? So now for the comments, we can have either a text input. Text input will look like this, like where I can enter like this, but comments are something a text area. Like if we show a text area, it will be good. It looks good, right? So now you have one more option, which is called as a, if you go to the data capture, so next is text area. Just drag it off, put it down, and you can see here, user can enter, if he wants to enter like, big text, he can enter it over here. So now I just give it as a rejection. Comments. So I'll just create this property. I'll save it. Okay, and now go to the UI. So I'll just change it and I change the label to rejection comments. And then let's say if you want that, something, if you want to customize the size or, some like, characters that you want to like, okay, like, user cannot enter more than 500 words or, some like that, so you can just customize that, like, you can all that, you can make it, customize it. For now, like, I'll just keep it auto, or is it a minimum character? Let's say, minimum he has to enter, let's say, 15 characters, and maximum that he has to enter, let's say 500 characters, like that. And then display character counter if you want to display, like, for example, how many characters the user has entered. If you want to display it, so you can just display that as well. So you can just basically just play with that presentation tab. So now, for example, let's say I'm saying minimum comments that user has to enter is 15 characters, and then the maximum maximum comments the user has to enter is the max 500 characters, like that. So I just submit this and now I'll save it. Okay, so now okay, so now let's see what happens. So now I'll create one more case. Okay, so now let's say I'm applying for a loan. Okay, let's say home loan, let's get amount. Okay, so now the manager will see this kind of a screen. Okay, so this guy is applying for a loan and his phone number is this, his email ID is this, and then he's applying for a home loan, amount is this. And then after that, he can just say that, and he can see that, right? Remaining amount is 500 because, sorry, remaining characters is 500 because the maximum he can enter it. So now, for example, let's say I'll say, okay, by looking at my CIBIL score or PAN number, everything, like, I mean, or like, he is rejecting my application. So, he can just say it or reject. So now you can see that this remaining characters are getting reduced, right? So now I'm just clicking somewhere else. The Pega will throw me an error saying that this field should contain at least this 15 characters now, right? And then if I'll enter that, so you can see that like I'm Pega is actually getting the count. I mean count also, like how many extra characters that user can enter. So like that. So now so this is what, like, you can just what. So now let's say that's it. So now the 500, you can see that remaining 500 characters, remaining 0 characters. So now even if you try to enter it, you'll not. I mean, I'm typing it, but the Pega is not taking it forward. So like that. Okay, so this is what it can happen. Now let's say if I'll delete few of the characters, you can see that remaining I can enter 212 characters, but it will not show always. I mean, you have to do it here from the presentation tab. Okay, so now after that, I mean, if you reject that, so now I mean, if you want to approve it, reject it, so anything that whatever the action that user wants to take it, I mean, back person can want to take it, he can take it basically. And then after that, he can just submit this. So now in the similar way, I mean, that now that enhancement user stories will come. Okay, so we have to in the loan details, we want to show other properties like Aadhaar number, PAN number, or salary, right? And what type of job type, the what job type, you want to do it, I mean, private, government, and all that stuff, and then how many years of experience that you have, so whatever that and then and all that, blah blah. So and then after that, I mean, taking any action, and he'll just he'll submit that. Okay, so that is it. So this is how basically you just design any UI. And also, like I've shown you, how that you can design it in the read-only format, and also how can you just add a big length characters, that also that you can do it. And also now let's say, I mean, now that let's say the requirement is that we have to show it to. Now, I mean, we don't want to show the bank will say that I don't want to show each this these details basically I don't want to show in one by one, because if this is a small screen, so it's fine. But let's say if I have in the real time we have to show 20-30 fields, right? In that case, if I'll show just one by one, then I mean, basically I'll just drag it. We have to, the user has to drag many times. So simply what we can do is we can just change this to two row in a two fields in a row and all the stuff, so, or column basically, and all the stuff. So that also that we can do it. So we can go here and go to the section. So whatever that you have to do it, any UI related stuff, whatever that you have to do it, I mean, so basically you have to do it in a section rule. You can do is, so you can just click on here, and then you just not a property basically. This time you have to update the layout. So now just click on the layout and just click on the gear icon. So if you click on it, and then again presentation tab, just go to the presentation tab. Oh, sorry, don't go to the presentation tab. So in the layout format, so just drag it, and then you'll see that inline grid double. So now let's say if I'll select inline grid double, now if I'll submit this, you can see that first name, last name, it's displaying like this. In the similar way, let's say if you want to show 3 fields in a row, you can do that as well. So now you can just inline grid triple, select that, and then so simply, right, without doing any coding and all the stuff, simply and the Pega has provided most of the things. So it's simply what you have to do is you have to just, that is what I have told you, right, in the first day of a session, so all that you need to do is, of course, you don't have to do the coding, but all that you need to know is where that option is, and you have to just understand the options, what are the options the Pega has provided. That's it. And simply, and if you're not happy with the 3 rows also, you can have 4 one also. For that, here the option is not displayed, but you have to just select the other. So just type quadruple. That's it. The Pega will show 4 fields in a row, like that. Okay, so like that. So now for now, let's say I'll select inline grid double, but now for your practice, basically, I'm just showing you all these things so that, you can know, how that you can play with it. So for your practice, when you're practicing it, just play with it, because it just, now that, when the manager screen will come, so the details will, will display, in a 2 fields, it will display in a row, like that. Okay, so now, okay, so this is what I've done. Okay. Okay, I have, okay, so now it's the loan process. So we'll just submit that. Okay, so now you can see here, like, we are displaying. So this is blank because I have not entered any details. So that is the reason it's blank, So this education loan is already, that's the first option. It's already selected. So now it's over here. Yes, yes, exactly. So it's something because the next is the approval one. So that is the reason once this stage and when the Pega completes this all the process, then the Pega will take you over here. Exactly. You're right. And so what actually I was trying to say was like, yeah. So what we're trying to do is, yeah, which is that screen here. So this is a section, right? This is a screen. Basically, we have to do that. So now this rejection comments we don't have to display always. So this rejection comment should only be displayed only when the manager selects reject or that particular user select reject, right? So now what we can do is just go here and then just click on it and then that one of the option that in the general tab, you will see that visibility. All right. So in the visibility, like you see always, all right. So just if you just expand it, so now you can do that condition in the conditionally that you want to display that field. So just select that selected expression. So what is the expression? So now it should display only when the loan, approve reject is equals to reject. That's it. So this is a condition, of course, right? Because what this is the property where we are storing that approve reject, and this is equals to reject. So if it's equals to reject, then only that we want to display. Just submit that and just save it and just load process. So now if you just go to that manager screen, and now you can see that that comment is not visible. So now if I select approve, still it's not visible. And now if the manager or that person, bank person will say, okay, reject. So now, now he can see the screen. I mean, now that he get rejection comment. So now again, if he feels that no, I mean, the loan, should be approved. So you'll just click on that approve and that comments won't be visible. So like this way, basically like, you can hide any field, on the conditional basis like that. For example, let's say this is how that we use it. For example, some senior citizen people are there. Some senior citizen fields are there should only be displayed when the when the user selects yes, I'm a senior citizen. Then only we have to display some 10 another 15 fields, right? So like that. So this is how we do it. Now let's say if I'll run the process. Okay, so so now you can see that, right? I can be able to submit the screen without entering any details, right? I'm able to submit this, but in real time, it doesn't happen, right? Because we have to ask user to enter mandatory fields, right? You might have seen that in any forms or in your current project also, you have seen that the user has to fill some mandatory fields with that some star icon. What you would have noticed it next to that every field. So in the star icon, basically like, should be should be there basically, so which indicates that, that fields are mandatory, like that. So now how can we do that? So now let's do that as well. So that will be the last agenda for the today's sessions. And after that, we'll take the questions and then we'll wrap today's call. So now I'll just go to the section view and now it's loan details and it's a personal details. Now, okay. So this is the field. Okay. So now like, now let's say I have to make these fields as mandatory. So now what we can do is again, the same thing. Just select this property and click on this gear icon. And then if you go down, so I have shown you visibility, right? In just next to the mat, like, there is one more option which is called as required. So the Pega always select as a never as an option, like, by default. But if you want, you can just make it as always. So if we just expand this drop down, you'll see that one option as always. So now if we submit this, so you can see that one star icon is here, right? And let's say then the similar way, I don't want last name to make it mandatory because sometimes some people like, never enter their last name, let's say. And then let's say the date of birth is mandatory. So in the similar way, we'll make required. And then let's say phone number will make it required. Okay, always. That's it. Like, and the email ID, let's say not make it required. Let's say some people like, like let's say from people like from village, like they don't have email address and all this stuff, so we can't make the email address as required, so I'll just keeping it optional, and last name also optional. And then in the similar way, and just save it. And in the similar way, like in the loan form, uh, like I'll just make it as, okay, this one as as required for these, and of course the loan amount as well. That's it. And now I'll save it up. And now if I'll create a case now, so this is the one, and now you can see the star icon. So now if I'll try to submit the screen without entering any details, the Pega will throw me the error saying that, okay, this value cannot be blank, this value cannot be blank, and all the stuff. Okay, so now, like, so now I have to enter the details there, then that you can see that error message is gone for the first name because I've entered the first name. And then in similar way, like, I mean, a date of birth, I've entered it, and the phone number also that I've entered it, like that, and in the similar way, if I'll try to continue further, like, like that. So in the second screen also, if I try to submit this, like, you can see that, I mean, I'm getting an error message. And here, and then the another requirement is, let's say the loan type is the first option is coming as educational loan, right? But the first option I want that, like, from that, please select the loan type, kind of that I want it basically. So if I want that, so again we'll go to this particular section. Section name is loan this, and now just expand this. And now you can see that, below required, like, there is a placeholder. So if you check this box, so you can just give that, please select loan type. Okay, so this, of course, we do that, do all these things. Of course, by looking at the user story, if we mention at the user story, we'll do that. So now I'll just save it. And now we have just refresh it. Okay. So I just create, show you the new one, or maybe I have saved. Okay, so now that I've saved it, so now it will come. Earlier, like, it was not coming because I didn't save the section rule. Okay, so now I can see here, like, I'm getting the loan amount as educational loan, and then all this stuff. So now I can select any one of them. Yeah, any questions? Okay. Okay, and then you can see that, like, this length and this length is different, right? I mean, and it's not looking good. Like, this length is small and then this length is big, of course, right? I mean, it does, as a user perspective. I mean, as an end user, I'll not like this kind of a screen where the one screen is small, one screen is, sorry, one field is small, one field is big, and all the stuff. All right, so that's so for that, what we can do is, again, same section rule if you have to do it. So now just remember section rule, like, for any UI, section rule is very important. Whatever that till now we have made, we have, like, field made it required visibility and all the stuff, everything, whatever that we have done it, made it read only, everything we have done it in that section only. So, right. So now simply what you can do is, so you can just make this, just click on that, go to the presentation tab, and then specify the size, right? So just click on the custom, and then you just say that 100%, like that. So now the screen will be bigger. Now it will be shown in the bigger size. So now the loan process. So now, yeah, both the fields, but now that you can see that both the fields are now has the same size, or the same length, basically, whatever. So like this way, basically, like, you can handle it. And now, and let's say that with this two fields, we have to display in the same row and all the stuff, that also that, it, basically, like, basically all that you need to do is, in this section, I mean, you can just select, change the layout type to inline grid, double, triple, or like that. Depends on the requirement. So that is it. Like, so today we